Have you ever been in a conversation where the air suddenly feels heavy? You're talking and talking, trying to keep the energy up, but the other person just looks at you. They're not frowning and they're not looking at their phone, they're just absolutely silent. And in that silence, you start to panic. Did I say something wrong? Do they hate me? Am I being annoying? You start rambling just to fill the void. You offer more information than you intended. You apologize for things you did not do. And while you're unraveling, they're completely still. They're holding all the cards without playing a single one. It is terrifying, isn't it? But here's the thing. That person is not necessarily judging you. They might not even be upset. They have simply mastered the one social tool that most of us are too afraid to use: silence. We live in a world that is obsessed with noise. We think that talking means participating, and that being loud means being right. But there's a hidden psychology behind those rare people who are comfortable with dead air. They know something you do not. They understand that silence is not just an absence of sound, it's a presence. It's a heavy, active force that can shift the balance of power in any room. Today, we're going to look at why silence feels so powerful and how different types of people use it to navigate the chaos of social interaction. Maybe you're the one nervously filling the gaps, or maybe you're the one watching quietly from the sidelines. Think about the first type of silence wielder, the strategic pauser. This is the person you might meet in a high-stakes environment, like a job interview or a negotiation, or even a tense family dinner. You ask them a question, or you make a point. You expect an immediate reaction. You expect the rhythm of the conversation to go back and forth like a game of tennis. Ping pong. You talk, they talk, but the strategic pauser breaks the rhythm. They don't respond right away. They let the question hang in the air for 3 or 4 seconds. Now, 3 seconds sounds like a short time, but in a conversation, 3 seconds of silence feels like an eternity. It feels like the oxygen is being sucked out of the room. Your brain instantly interprets this delay as a threat. The primitive part of your mind wonders if you've been rejected or if you've lost status. So what do? You scramble to fix it. You start negotiating against yourself. You might say, well, actually, I can do it for less money. Or, you know what? Never mind. It was a stupid idea anyway. The strategic pauser knows this. They're not slow, they're deliberate. By withholding their validation, they force you to show your hand. It's a psychological mirror. When they don't reflect your energy back to you immediately, you're left staring at your own insecurities. It's uncomfortable, but it's also brilliant. They're preserving their mental energy while you exhaust yours. They're waiting for the dust to settle so they can see the landscape clearly. If you've ever felt manipulated by someone who barely spoke a word, this is likely what was happening. They were letting your own need for approval do the work for them. Then there's a different kind of silence. This one is less about power dynamics and more about deep processing. We can call this person the deep observer. You've seen them at parties or large social gatherings. While everyone else is fighting for the spotlight, telling loud stories and laughing at jokes that aren't even funny, the deep observer is sitting back. They're not on their phone and they're not hiding in the bathroom. They're present. They are watching. For an extrovert or someone with high social anxiety, this behavior is baffling. You might look at them and think, they must be bored, or they must be judgmental. You might even go up to them and ask, why are they being so quiet? But here's the secret. The deep observer is having a completely different experience of the social event than you are. While you're focused on output, they're focused on input. They're noticing the subtle body language of the couple in the corner who are arguing without saying a word. They're picking up on the tone of voice that implies someone is lying about their promotion. They're gathering data. Because they're not busy thinking about what they're going to say next, they have the bandwidth to truly understand the dynamics of the room. This makes their silence feel powerful, because when they finally do speak, it cuts through the noise. They don't waste words on fluff. They say one sentence that summarizes the entire situation perfectly. It creates a sense of gravity around them. You realize that while you were busy projecting an image, they were seeing the reality. It's the power of the hawk sitting motionless on a branch before it dives. It's not inactive, it's hyperactive. It's just internal. If you're the type of person who feels drained after talking too much, maybe try this. Step back. Stop trying to perform. Just watch. You'll be amazed at how much respect people give you when you stop trying so hard to earn it. But silence is not always about strategy or observation. Sometimes it's about emotional safety. This brings us to the anchor. Have you ever been really upset or anxious and you went to a friend who tried to fix everything? They offered advice. They told you not to worry. They flooded you with words to try and make the bad feelings go away. It's exhausting. Now, contrast that with the anchor. This is the friend who can sit with you while you cry and say absolutely nothing. They don't fidget, they don't check the time, they don't try to offer a silver lining. They just sit there. This is perhaps the most powerful form of silence because it communicates unconditional acceptance. Psychologically, most of us talk when things get emotional because we're uncomfortable with pain. We want to rush past the sad parts. We want to wrap everything in a neat little bow so we can go back to feeling normal. But the anchor is not afraid of the dark. They've made peace with their own demons, so they're not scared of yours. Their silence feels powerful because it creates a container. It creates a space where you're allowed to fall apart without being judged or corrected. It's a rare gift. In that silence, you feel more heard than you ever would in a conversation full of words. It validates your experience. It says, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. If you know someone like this, hold on to them. And if you want to be more charismatic, ironically, learning to be an anchor is far more effective than learning a bunch of clever conversation starters. People are drawn to safety, and silence is the sound of safety. However, we have to talk about the flip side, the silence that feels powerful but is actually a wall, the Stonewaller. This is the person who uses silence as a weapon of defense. You might be in an argument with a partner, and suddenly they shut down. They stop responding. They turn away. Their face goes blank. This feels powerful in the moment because it effectively stops the attack. You can't fight a wall. You scream and you plead, but you get nothing back. But unlike the strategic pauser or the anchor, this silence comes from a place of fear, not confidence. The Stonewaller is overwhelmed. Their psychological system has flooded and they've pulled the emergency brake. It creates a power imbalance, yes, but it's a destructive one. It leaves the other person feeling invisible and abandoned. It triggers a panic response in the brain called attachment panic. The person on the receiving end feels like they're fighting for their survival. While the Stonewaller might feel like they're winning by not losing their cool, they're actually destroying the bridge between two people. Recognizing the difference between a pause that invites reflection and a wall that shuts out connection is crucial. One feels heavy but warm. The other feels cold and empty. If you find yourself shutting down like this, it's worth asking what you're protecting. True power is not about making the other person disappear. It's about being present enough to handle the heat without running away into the silence. There's one final type of silence that is perhaps the most mysterious of all, the void. This is the person who is naturally mysterious, not because they're trying to be cool, but because they simply don't feel the need to explain themselves. We live in a culture of oversharing. We post our breakfasts, we tweet our random thoughts, we tell strangers our life stories in the queue at the grocery store. We do this because we're seeking validation. We want someone to witness us so we know we exist. The person who embodies the void doesn't have this hunger. They're self-validating. They don't offer details about their weekend unless you ask. They don't justify their choices. If they say no to an invitation, they just say no. They don't give you a 5-minute excuse about their grandmother's birthday or a headache. This silence is magnetic. We are drawn to people we can't quite figure out. It's the Zeigarnik effect in action, where our brains obsess over incomplete information. Because they don't give us the full story, our minds work overtime to fill in the blanks. We project confident traits onto them. We imagine they have a rich, fascinating secret life. In reality, they might just be watching Netflix and eating cereal. But because they don't broadcast it, they retain an aura of significance. They control the narrative by not having a narrative. It's a reminder that you don't owe the world access to your inner thoughts. You don't owe anyone an explanation for who you are. Keeping a little bit of mystery isn't about being secretive, it's about having boundaries. It's about keeping some of your energy for yourself. So, why does silence feel so powerful? Because it's a disruption. It disrupts the social script that says we must always be performing. It forces us to confront reality without the distraction of words. It reveals who is secure and who is scrambling for approval. Maybe you recognize yourself in the nervous rambler, filling the air with noise because you're afraid of being judged. Or maybe you saw yourself in the observer, watching the room and seeing things no one else sees. The next time you're in a conversation and a silence falls, don't rush to fix it. Let it sit there. Take a breath. Look at the other person. Notice what comes up in your body. Is it anxiety? Is it peace? Is it a need to impress? The power was never in the words you spoke, it was in the space between them. When you stop trying to control the silence, you realize that the silence is not empty. It's full of information. It's full of truth. And if you can learn to get comfortable in it, you'll find a kind of confidence that no amount of talking can ever buy. What is your relationship with silence? Do you run from it or do you lean into it? Think about the last time you stayed quiet when you wanted to shout. That was power. Think about the last time you let a moment hang instead of rushing to fill it. That was power. The world is loud enough. Maybe it's time to let the silence do the talking.